Nate, what's up, dude?
What's up?
Um, Nate Thompson, everybody. One of our PTs in house. Guy's an absolute legend.
It's funny you say Nate Thompson, everybody, because when I was in
Is that your last name?
when I was
Oh,
in college, and I'd get on the bus after a game,
uh-huh.
everybody would bust out Nate Thompson, everybody. So
We'll get into that.
that
We'll
gave
get into your
that gave me
days.
a flashback
We'll
right
get
there.
into your Liberty days. Don't you worry about that. I have that's something. Nate, I think one of my favorite things about you is your affinity for 2000s hip hop.
Oh,
And that's like right up my alley. So I want you to give me your top three artists of that generation.
oh man, too many to choose from. I mean, Biggie Smalls is up there.
Okay, so we're talking late '90s, 2000s, then early
Is that what you
2000s.
want?
No, I mean whatever it was for Little Nate Thompson back in the day.
No,
What
Nate
do
Thompson.
we, what do we got?
Yeah, I mean, Biggie Smalls is up there for sure.
Okay,
I was a big Nelly fan, still am, big
okay,
Nelly fan.
yeah. I told you I met Nelly. That was
No,
highlight of my life. One of them. Yeah.
when he was with the Cardinals.
No, so last spring training, he was friends with Mookie, and he just showed up to the clubhouse one day.
Really?
Yeah, and he went around, gave everyone dabs and hugs.
Just
It was
casual.
sick, and I was like,
What's up, Mook?
first thing I was texting my wife. I was like, "You'll never believe this. I met Nelly.
guess
It's a
who's
big
here?
deal." Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Nelly and who?
Oh yeah, Biggie, Nelly.
No pressure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I got like 15 names in my head right now that all could probably be in there.
I know we should have done top five.
Yeah, I mean it's
You can
fine.
make top five if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know he didn't have that many like hits, and I was actually kind of rapping him just a little bit ago. But Mike Jones
Mike Jones.
is up there. Like
Who?
some of his stuff, man. I mean,
Who?
they're bangers. Like
Yeah,
I go
that's like
crazy.
that chopped and screwed era.
Yeah,
Paul Wall, Mike Jones,
yeah.
all those guys from Houston. That was a pretty fun little era of rap. Well, now you know why I played the music I did today because I kind of want to put you in that mood and bring you back
I hear you.
to that era.
I hear you.
Okay,
I was
so
vibing, man.
I'll give you those top three. Now let's talk a little bit about fashion of that era.
Oof.
If you could pick
Yeah.
one trend, what would you bring back
Um,
or tell to not come back?
I was all up in it. I mean, the baggy clothes were just like
Mm-hmm.
were it, right? So
Yeah,
like, eighth grade, I had the baggy jeans and
I think we all did to some extent.
the Tims. You
Tim's.
know,
I have a pair
I
of
mean,
Tim's. I'm not ashamed.
I'm half embarrassed about that, but I'm half
Oh.
like, that was the cool thing back in the
No,
day, right?
I don't think you have any
Basketball
reason.
shorts were,
Yeah,
down to my shins, and
yeah.
so I vividly remember like LeBron and this other guy on this magazine that I saw, like might have been Carmelo or somebody, just like
That's
these.
probably
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah. I mean, baggy clothes were like in for sure,
Oh
and
yeah.
I was all into it.
So would you bring that back or not? Tell it to never come back.
Yeah, I would say no. I wouldn't say never come back. I mean, I
Okay.
think that's fine.
Okay.
I'm not as big of a fan of the shorter shorts today.
Yeah, well,
I
I've
have a hard
noticed
time
that
with that.
a lot of the high school kids that come in here are wearing like 3 inch inseam shorts. What's up
Yeah,
with that? You
I
think?
don't
What?
know. I have no idea. I
It's
mean,
tough.
you see pictures back in the '70s of basketball players and stuff. Like, I
I know.
know, right?
These kids doing these.
Three
It's
inch
crazy,
inseams? Are you
man.
kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, you see pictures of NBA players and college players in the '70s, right? You're like, holy crap! Like,
No,
how
it's
do you
terrible.
play with
But
that?
that's back now.
And now, yeah, I
I think
mean,
that baggy's going to come back though. Fashion is cyclical,
yeah,
right, Joey?
It's
Yeah.
2000s in right now. It has
Is it
to
really?
get to the mid 2000s. Yeah.
wasn't the scrunchies thing in for like girls like not long ago?
That's
Like,
already out.
is it out again? All
How
right,
long was
I
it
don't
in?
know.
Like a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Oh, okay. Well, all right. What is it about like you obviously were a basketball player, and we'll get into that here in a second. But
Nice.
what is it about kind of shoes or like sneakers, basketball shoes, Jordans? What is it about that you appreciate? Like, what is it a nostalgia thing? Is it because I mean you come in here with some Jordan ones every now and again. I mean,
Yeah, I have
fires the
one
boys
pair.
up. Yeah,
I
one
have
pair.
one pair. I mean, I'm not a huge shoe guy, I guess. I have a bunch of pair of shoes, I guess, but I stick with like my select few. But yeah, I break
Mm,
the Jordans out on Fridays every once in a
Jordan
while
Fridays.
if I don't have a hitter or something, But
Yeah.
no, I mean, I think it's. I feel. I mean, again, I'm not a fashion icon guy, but like I think it kind of represents the era of where they came from. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
Jordan ones and stuff. I feel like have been around since they came around. Like it's just
Yeah.
like the thing. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think I'm a big Nike guy, like Nike Free, like something just comfortable
Yeah.
in there. So
I
I mean,
respect that.
just kind of depends on what you like, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
I will say like coming in here, someone that appreciates sneakers, and myself, our staff has got a pretty good shoe game. I mean, I would probably put it up against anybody else. Joey, would you agree with that?
Yeah, besides like a sneaker store.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey's leading the
PT
charge on that.
Yeah. Huh?
you got PT a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. We're locked in.
It's a swaggy staff.
It is. Speaking of swag, when I'm doing my research on you, I pull up your freshman picture from Liberty,
Oh, dear
and
God.
Joey will put that up for everybody to see. You had a pretty sick chain on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So where is that?
It
I haven't seen that. You wear that yet?
yeah, that one's gone. I think it broke, honestly. I'm not
Where'd
sure
you
where
where'd
it's
you
at.
get it from?
I don't know. I have no idea. I
Okay.
mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm assuming a jewelry store or something like that. But I mean, I had that style of chain I wore like probably pretty much all throughout high school.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had started off with like the rope
Uh-huh.
chain,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and it was really the real thin one, just kind
Yeah.
of like feeling like I was cool.
Sure.
And then it progressed, right? It evolved and got to that point. And by the time I was senior in high school,
Mm-hmm.
freshman in college, whatever, I haven't worn one in a while recently because my son broke mine, and I haven't got one back yet. But
Okay.
been going more with the
Fair.
curb style.
I'm gonna read your bio that I pulled up from that freshman year too. So it's your high school stats.
Okay,
You all right with that?
yeah,
Okay. The team MVP for 3 seasons, so I'm assuming sophomore, junior, and senior
that's
year.
right.
Okay. All state academic first team in both junior and senior seasons. What was your GPA?
It was I don't know, it was over four something.
Okay. Wow.
Like public schools now, they're like five something or whatever, but like we were true like 4.0, like
Okay.
with straight A's, and I think with like weighted classes you could
Like
go.
APs and stuff.
Yeah, you could go over four. So it was like a 4.2 or something like that. I don't.
Okay. You were a second team all state as a junior. Okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. First team all metro as a senior. What's all metro? What is that?
Like all city, like
Okay.
in
That's you went to Westover Christian Academy,
Danville, Virginia.
Danville, Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fighting Danvilles. Four-time All Conference first team member.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You had 8 homers, 32 RBIs, and 57 at bats. So what's the ratio on that? Anybody, what's good at math? Eight homers and 57 at bats. Pretty good, right? I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
So you had some juice. My favorite stat of all: 4-year varsity starter in basketball, member of the 1,000 Point Club.
Mm.
Is that your favorite?
I mean, I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. I don't remember how many exactly I finished with.
Mm-hmm.
1,200 or something like that. I mean, looking at it, like compared to like
So
the
they
basketball
couldn't
players today, is
they
like
couldn't put
nothing.
1,200 on there.
I don't know.
But they put a
They didn't
thousand.
have a 1,200 club. It was just 1,000 club, and
But you're over 1,000 points in high
yeah,
school.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of game you got, man?
I was a point guard,
Okay.
so I prided myself on being like a pass
Like a
first.
Jason Williams type.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I liked like I got more satisfaction out of making like a solid pass.
You're a team guy.
Like a no look pass or like
Mm-hmm.
threading the needle, that kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that got me jazzed up pretty good. Other like as opposed to like knocking down a three. I mean, that was great too. But
I
I
mean,
was
you
a
had 1,200 of them, so
well,
you
I
must
mean,
have felt pretty good.
I was definitely I was a bigger point guard. I was like the second tallest guy on my team, but I was a point guard, and so
Just a better
I would
athlete than them.
I would create stuff, right? Like I would just
Mm-hmm.
get to the paint and then make a play.
Do you have any basketball offers coming up? Like anything kind
I
of
did.
where? What else? What offers?
I had a bunch of interest from like lower level schools. Like I remember like Manhattan College
Mm-hmm.
in New York. Like they recruited me hard. The Jaspers, I remember they were called. I was like,
Yeah.
but had interest from them. Had interest from Liberty.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the day I met with the baseball coach there, I met with the basketball coach, and I was going to try to figure out how to do both.
That's tough to do. 'Cause it's
But
winter and
I was going to
spring.
say
Yeah.
sports overlap, right? But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, I was like, I got a bigger future in baseball than I do basketball, so I just stuck with baseball. But
Yeah.
yeah, that Virginia Tech, I had some interest from. Campbell
Mm-hmm.
was a big recruiter, I think, for me. I don't know, just got some like mid major schools like that in the area.
Yeah.
The coolest one that I got though, and it wasn't anything serious. I was like a recruiting questionnaire type thing.
Kansas.
Gonzaga.
Ooh,
I was pretty pumped about
that
that,
is that you
and
fit their game.
thought so.
Yeah.
Adam Morrison type,
Yeah,
right?
Adam
Like,
Morrison.
but yeah, it was just a questionnaire thing. Like I went to this 10-star All Star basketball camp and made like a whatever their All American team was, and so they sent stuff out to schools like who you wanted to send it out. I think I put Gonzaga down just for like
Really?
kicks and gigs, and so they did it. And they
That's
sent
fun.
some stuff back.
All right. No, I love it. I think, for me, I like talking about this stuff just because it kind of sheds a pretty good light of who you are as a person. And I think you said it. You get more satisfaction out of a pass. You know
I
that
do.
you're a team guy and people want to be around you and you want to see others succeed. So I love that about you. But let's
Appreciate
talk
it.
about your career at Liberty. I think when I was reading this, my favorite thing that I saw was that you were the team captain.
Hmm.
What was uh what was that like being voted? I'm assuming by your teammates.
Yep.
How'd that feel when the coach gave you that honor? And like, what kind of emotions did you have? Because I know it probably meant a lot to you.
Oh yeah, I mean it was cool. I mean I'm sure you probably looked at my stats or whatever, but like the majority of my college career, like I struggled, like
Well, you posted 270 batting average.
getting on the
Not bad.
well, not bad, but just getting on the field, like I just I feel like I didn't get the shots that I deserved or
Hmm.
needed, and so it was tough for the majority of it, but I tried to still be that team guy, lead how I could, and by example, like work my
Hmm.
tail off, control what I can control, and it was really cool for people to my teammates, my peers to see that and vote me as a captain.
Yeah.
Like it was nice because I feel like I could back that up on the field that year too.
You know, it was probably like your biggest accomplishment during playing, or was there a moment that overtakes that, or I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think as far as like off the field, I mean I was on the field too, right? But like I mean, that's up there for
Hmm.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of, I don't know. I feel like I possess leadership qualities to some degree, but
Yeah.
and I think just seeing the respect from my teammates is huge, right? And it kind of
Yeah.
gives me confidence to be able, like, you know, I belong here. I'm, doing what I'm supposed to do and doing things the right way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of
So,
course. No, I think that's huge. So when we talk about your career, where all did you play summer ball?
I
Because I
think,
saw you were an all star in 2007.
yeah, I think after my freshman year, like I redshirted that year, I was able to, I dislocated my shoulder, the summer going into Liberty, and it bothered me all fall, so I couldn't really play. But that summer I played like Legion ball
Hmm.
back home. The summer after that, I played in the Atlantic Collegiate Baseball League,
That's where
and
you're the all star.
that's the All Star one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was in Easton, Pennsylvania. So I don't know how familiar everybody is with that area, but like Allentown area, like Eastern Pennsylvania near
That's like Philly.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I played there for that year. It was a good league. I had fun. Me and another guy that was at Liberty, we both played there. He was a sophomore, so he played there last year.
Hmm.
The year before, he was one of our starters, starting pitchers. And then I think the summer after that, I think I stayed on campus and worked out,
Okay.
like just try to get
Like develop.
develop, work on stuff, everything. And then my last summer, I played in the Coastal Plains League.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Where at?
I was in Edenton, North Carolina. They're not in the league anymore. It
Okay.
was the Steamers, Edenton Steamers. Probably the best summer of my life, though.
Really?
Loved it. I tell guys all the time, like especially our college guys, if you have an opportunity to go into the Coastal Plains,
It's a
do
good
it
league.
because they take care of you. It's a good league. I mean, they
Yeah.
consistently have teams ranked top teams in the country for summer
Hmm.
ball. You're basically like a minor leaguer
Which
there,
ones do we
like
have around here? We have the Holly Springs team.
Salamanders. There's a team in Morehead City now,
Is that
down toward the
Wilmington?
beach.
Kind of.
No, it's like further north.
Oh, okay.
I don't. Wilmington might have a team. I'm not sure. There's a team in Ashboro, Gastonia,
Hmm.
Martinsville, Virginia. Yeah, they're kind I think Fayetteville might have one. I'm not sure,
Sounds about right.
but yeah, I mean it was awesome. I'd wake up at 9 o'clock, something like that, 10 o'clock. My host family had a pond, so I'd go fish in the mornings,
Legit. Yeah.
come back, eat lunch, go to the field by 1, 2 o'clock, early work, do stuff, play the game, and then after the game we'd play basketball
Hmm.
and in the gym there, the high school gym,
Smart. Be
do it
careful.
all again.
I'm sure the coaches love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was fun.
No, I agree. Like playing summer ball, I think was some of the most fun time because it brings you back to being a kid. Like you're not going to school or any of that. You're just kind of having a summer and going and play baseball.
Playing,
So I
yeah,
think
having fun.
I agree. Like it's important for kids to go and play summer ball and kind of get out there. And obviously, it's good for exposure and stuff. But just to enjoy the game again and kind of
Hmm.
be on your own schedule, I think is a lot of fun.
Low pressure too. Just get
Yeah.
done.
So after Liberty, you embarked on a professional career.
Hmm.
Run us through that real quick.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I went undrafted, and I was really hoping to be drafted. I had some interest from teams, like
Hmm.
people talking to me and stuff like that. I didn't play. I played, my senior year in college, balled out and had a good year.
Yeah.
But
Well, give me some of the stats on that.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, you do.
I really don't. I promise. I know I hit over 300.
You're bad.
Think I led the team or was tied for the lead for team home runs, number one or number two on the team in RBIs, led the conference in fewest pass balls. I don't know. It was a good year.
Yeah.
So anyway, went undrafted. Still wanted to play. I knew I could play. A really good friend of mine who was in pro ball at the time. He did his off-season training at Liberty, kind
Okay.
of an unofficial assistant coach for us. He was in indie ball at the time, so he
Okay.
kind of had connections and helped me out. Coaching staff really didn't do a whole lot for me at that point, but so I kind of grinded it out on my own and ended up getting an invite to play in Macon, Georgia,
Okay.
for kind of an up and coming league type thing. It was a rookie league type thing. So
What was it called?
the Peach State League,
Okay.
and I was played for the Macon Pine Toppers, and played that summer there. Had an off season, went to some workouts that off season. Went to I forget the guy's name, but he's like this big name in indie ball. He does these workouts and they like guarantee you contracts type thing. It's
Okay.
kind of almost too good to be true type thing. But I went and I got a contract and I
Nice.
signed with the
You get
Gary
invited to
South
that?
Shore, huh?
You said you get invited to that, or?
No, you just it's like an open thing you
Hmm.
go to, and
Okay.
if teams like you, they sign you. Like they that organization, whatever it was, they send your info out to teams, and
That's cool.
so everybody needs catchers. So it
Yeah.
was I kind of had a little bit of better advantage, I guess. But
Sure.
signed with Gary South Shore Railcats of the American Association. Played there for a little while. Then I went to a workout with the Frontier League. They kind of have like an open tryout every year,
Hmm.
and then they have a draft at the end of that year or at the end of the workout. And it was crazy, man. Like I fully didn't expect like for it to go like crazy well because there's 400 people there at that thing. It's a 2 day thing. I made it through
Yeah.
the first round. Second day, we do like sim games and stuff like that. I threw a guy out. I got a hit. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I have a shot. And I ended up getting drafted second overall in that
No,
thing.
really?
Yeah, it was
That's
crazy.
sick.
And everything I owned was in my Honda Civic.
Yeah.
And like they drafted another kid from our team, and he was like, he doesn't have a car. Anyway, he can ride with you. I was like, man, I have no idea where we're putting this stuff. But we loaded up. We
Yeah.
drove from wherever we were, Florence, Kentucky, or something like that, to Evansville, Indiana, and I played
Hmm.
for the Evansville Otters in the
Sure.
Frontier League.
Yeah.
That was my last year playing. I was in a situation where I probably could have kept playing for another 3 to 5 years if I wanted to, but I knew that PT was probably going to be the next thing I wanted to do, and it was a
Hmm.
3 year process. For school, I probably had another year of like prereq stuff to do before applying. So I was like, you know what, I can start my career after baseball in my late 20s, early 30s, or do it in my late 30s, early 40s. And
Right.
so I went ahead and decided to hang it up and start that journey, which sucked because I feel like I was at the peak, of my career. Like I was
Yeah.
the best I'd ever been playing and stuff like that. So it was tough, but right. So
Yeah.
it was a tough decision, but I think long term, probably the best decision for me and my future and my family and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think what a really cool part of that is like that process is very common for a lot of guys that
hmm
come in here, and you're somebody that can kind of give them that story and that understanding of what to expect throughout that whole indie ball process, and then trying to find the next step and all that. So, I know we had a few guys in here this past off season that really benefited from that.
hmm
Understanding of you having experience, and it helps them out a ton. So I think that's awesome. How was that transition though? Like from being a baseball player to becoming a PT and kind of embarking on the real world, so to speak. What was that
yeah,
like?
it was tough. I mean, it was tougher than I thought it was going to be. I kind of went into it. I kind of went into the whole PT school transition kind of blindly. I knew it was hard to get into, but I
Where'd you go
didn't.
to school?
Went to Elon.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew it was tough to get into, but I didn't realize how hard. So like after I finished playing, I just applied.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I didn't get in. And so I spent, the next year and a half taking prerequisites that I needed, boosting the GPA a little bit. Cause
Sure.
let's face it, if I had a choice of getting extra swings at 10 o'clock at night in the cage at Liberty or studying for my anatomy test, I was going to be in the
No
cage.
brainer
Right.
there. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I had good grades coming out of college. Like, they were good. It just I needed to be better for PT school, right? And
Sure.
and really didn't accurately reflect like what I could do. I felt like so. Spent time doing that, and yeah, it was just an awkward time for me, like life in general
Mm-hmm.
during that, because I'm back at home, right? I'm 26, whatever, being at home,
Yeah.
trying, working with my dad part time, doing class, stuff like that, which was great. I mean, love being with my family and stuff. It's just kind of this real weird tweener period of life,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So definitely not as easy as I thought it would be, but kind of got me to where I needed to be
Yeah.
and got accepted into school and started that whole process. So
Yeah.
start the next chapter of life.
I know, the PTs always talk about how long PT school is, and it's always kind of like, okay, what do we do next? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? After you get out of PT school, what was that process like for you? I know we'll touch on it here. You got to were able to work for the Rangers and a couple other teams I know you interned with. Speak on that. How was it kind of, I guess what I want to know is how much easier to make your transition kind of going right into baseball? Is that something you knew you wanted to do because you love the game, or what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the biggest reason why I wanted to go to PT school is because I wanted to do something to stay in sports and stay in athletics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So baseball is kind of my thing. I feel like I could relate well to those guys and, have a unique perspective, treating them, having been in their place, right? So I was fortunate enough, like while I was in school, I had an opportunity to do an internship with the Mets and their minor league PT down there. He's one of my mentors today. Shout out to Dave Pearson. Really enjoyed that opportunity and got to see firsthand like some stuff. Actually got to see some big leaguers while I was down there too. And then during my last rotation at Elon, I was at Duke Sports Medicine, but I was able to do like an internship with the Bulls here in town,
Yeah.
working with their athletic trainer. So got to hang out there and see that firsthand. Graduated PT school, and the same guy who helped get me into indie ball was now the manager for the high A team for the Rangers in Hickory.
Mm-hmm.
Asked him, I was like, man, is there any way I could just come and like hang out and shadow, help out however I can with your athletic trainer? And he's like, absolutely, come on. So that's what I did. I didn't get paid for it or anything like that. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make connections, get more experience in baseball, stuff like that. So
That's cool.
I did that for the rest of that year, probably half a season, just like, weekend home series and stuff like that. From that, I met one of the assistant general managers of the Rangers, and they were
Okay.
looking to maybe get another PT on staff. And so made that connection as well too. But long story short, ended up being brought on as like part-time, hired as part-time physical therapist. I worked with the Hickory team for all of their home series on
Okay.
the weekends because I was working part-time in Winston-Salem at the
Yeah.
time. Worked the Greensboro and Winston-Salem series because they were all in the same division.
Sure.
It was cool. It was a really, really good experience. Met some really good guys. I worked spring training for a week and a half or something down in Surprise, Arizona. Got to work on the big league side some while I was there.
Yeah.
Just cool experience, really cool, and just kind of further drove my passion to want to be in baseball. That's kind of where I wanted to. That was my old goal, was to be a PT in pro ball. But I think where I'm at now is probably better in the long run, especially for family and stuff like
Yeah.
that, like long hours and stuff in pro ball and things like that. And I
Sure.
still get to work with pro guys today. That's one thing I talked to Brandon about when I took on here is, my passion was working with a professional athlete and, those high level guys.
Yeah.
So that was a big selling point for me coming here. He's like, man, you can have all you want when we get here. So,
Yeah. How did you find this place? Like how did that process work for you?
so a guy I graduated PT school with, Jacob Shepard.
Yep.
He worked here. We were in the same class, all that kind of good stuff. He did. So when I was at Duke for my last rotation, he was here
Okay.
doing his last rotation, and he got hired on obviously afterwards. So talking to him, I knew about this place. Talking to him about it, baseball and all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
I think when I came out of school, like obviously I wanted to go into baseball, but I knew I wanted to just like get good at being a PT first, like before I kind of specialized in. So that's kind of where I was working in Winston-Salem doing that. And then literally after, like I was talking to Jacob and stuff like that, I after work one day, after I got off work at where I was at, I drove up here
Okay.
and met up with Jacob and met Brandon, talked to him for a little bit. Just tell him like, man, I'm super interested in this place. Like this is really cool. What you're doing here. It's kind of right down my alley. Just keep me in mind, like
Mm-hmm.
something ever comes up or whatever. So we talked for a while. It's kind of, I guess, it's like unofficial interview type thing or whatever. But got to meet him, meet the staff. Already knew Doug. Doug was working here. Doug was in the class below me
Because he was at Elon.
at Elon. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that, he's like, yeah, man, I'll keep you in mind. And then he called me up one day,
How long after?
probably a year, maybe a little less than a year, because I came up like during the summer, I think one time, or like
Mm.
late summer,
Okay.
and then he gave me a call Well, actually, I probably came up in the spring, maybe, because then he gave me a call like in the fall of that year, so maybe 6 months, maybe
Yeah.
not quite a year, but
No, I remember I was pretty excited when you because I was still playing, and I was like, "Oh, well, he caught pretty good catcher." And I remember we'll hit on it a little bit, but yeah, you could stick it back there, which
thanks, man.
obviously kind of helped me, and then helped take a little bit of off Chris's plate because
Yeah, he
Chris
was
was
like, "Yeah,
back there
hire him,
so
please."
much. Yeah, exactly. What's kind of what were the main differences that you found? Going from because your transition was so kind of. I mean, I guess it really hasn't been abrupt, but you went from playing to being involved with the Rangers in Major League Baseball, and now you're working here, and obviously there's still baseball involved, and it's a
Mhm.
very big part of what we do here. But you kind of got out of that whole team sport. I don't want to say that's how you're identified, but as a athlete, that's all you know for so long. What was kind of what did you find as far as leaving baseball and kind of going into this world? What was some of the bigger adjustments you had to make?
Part of well, I think obviously a big transition kind of going from like the baseball side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a pretty decent gap like between finishing my baseball career and then like going through PT school and everything
Yeah.
else. So I had time to kind of adjust not being in a clubhouse setting, right? But like I knew just seeing stuff online, social media, whatever, like seeing stuff here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to be in a place that had that vibe, you know what I mean? That had that clubhouse vibe. Not really, I guess clubhouse vibe, yeah, but like that athletic vibe where it was like more casual.
Yeah.
You still worked, did good work, all that kind of stuff, but like not the prim and proper, like typical PT places that you would see, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like,
Not as like buttoned up. It's kind of more
right.
so like it is kind of that culture of like having a kind of a clubhouse and all that. I definitely do see it here. Compared
Yeah.
to I would imagine other places.
Yeah. I mean, just you're around like-minded individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that the type of people you're going to work with in a setting like this is going to be more focused, goal-oriented, driven. They have a reason
Yeah.
behind why they're here. They're not just, I don't want to move, type thing. I've been
Right.
sitting too long. I don't, everything hurts,
Yeah.
which is, obviously we're
It's
here to help
normal.
them too, right? But,
Right.
it's that's my passion is more like in this setting, right? So
Yeah.
like trying to find a place and they kind of met that, so
Sure.
that was a big thing for me, especially for like long-term work settings, stuff like that.
I mean, it makes sense because I think it's important to still be around that, especially all of our guys have played sports at some level. I feel like, and
Oh yeah.
you learn a lot from that, being in those team sport settings, especially being competitive,
Mhm.
and I think that's what's really cool about this place is everybody's really competitive. Our games of pig get competitive,
Mhm.
or, you name it. I feel like there's always some sort of competition going on, and that's going to drive success, for everybody. And we all want to be the best at what we do. And I think that's a pretty cool thing to
Yeah.
kind of be able to experience on a day in and day out basis.
Yeah, especially like, when you have people who've been where you're at, like putting somebody like myself in their situation, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it helps, I feel like so much to be able to relate and empathize with somebody's going through, right? As an
Yeah.
athlete, especially from PT side, right? Because I usually see the guys when they're hurt, right? Like
Right.
not on your side where you're like helping them get better,
Mm-hmm.
they're healthy, they're, hungry. Like a lot of times we get guys who are, dejected, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
Yeah.
look, man, like this isn't the end of the world, right? It's just a speed bump. And to be able to relate to that because you've been there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I think puts a big advantage on coming to
Yeah.
somewhere like this where you can kind of be worked with somebody who's been there, where
Yeah.
you've been there and can relate to it.
I always joked with the PTs I've been around or the athletic trainers that it should be a requirement that you guys get your psych degree as well.
Oh
Because,
yeah.
when it comes to the mental side of baseball, there's being hurt sucks. I think when you're spending so much time, with a physical therapist or a trainer or whoever, like you almost become a therapist in a way to these guys because you have to be able to kind of talk them through what they're going through and help them understand that, hey, this isn't the end of the world, but everything little thing we're doing here matters,
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's a prerequisite to get in PT school, psych, but I mean it's like
Oh, is it?
oh yeah, but
Uh,
it's one of those things where it's, it's a bigger deal than what you think it is,
mm-hmm.
going into it. And I wouldn't say that's probably my strong suit by any means, but I think being able to be in that position helps, to be
Yeah,
able to communicate that with somebody.
sure. Was it nice when like you first started working here? You're very highly sought after item when it comes to the pitchers because you could catch. Um, was that nice for you? Did you enjoy that? Or is it has it gotten old to any extent?
Honestly, like I know me and Chris joke about it and stuff like that, but I mean, I do. I mean, I love catching those guys. Like, I mean, like a Zach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who like
It's a
throw
challenge.
98 with a lot of run, right? Like it's
Yeah.
tough when you haven't seen that in a while. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like that's the
Yeah.
hardest part, right?
Yeah.
It's like if I was doing it every single day, it'd be a lot easier, right? But like
Of course.
jumping in on something like that, I remember warming up with him, and I was told like, yeah, he's been up to 100, and then I'm like, okay, I'm already like, it's like, okay,
Had to break
I
shell a
got
little
to
bit.
be on my toes, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh yeah, by the way, I'm down here. I'm like, oh great,
Sick.
just bring it on. So yeah, I mean, I love doing it. Like, even my patients, like when we're bullpen progressions and stuff like that, if they look good and like haven't have any issues, stuff like that, I'll get back there and catch them because I know they'd rather throw to a catcher, right? Like
Yeah.
it's fun for me to do it, and I know they appreciate it too. So
Absolutely.
as a PT who's a catcher, like pretty
Yeah.
cool combo, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like
You're
it's
the cool kid in school, man. Everybody
a
wants you to be your
unique
friend.
deal. I know, right?
That's what
So
it is. But it hasn't gotten old. Like, you don't do as much now. I feel like, but like, is that something? Have you gotten to the point where you're like, God, damn it, I don't want to do this, or
not really.
yeah,
I mean, like I
because we all
said,
get old.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like physically, like I'm fine. Like I mean,
Yeah,
it's I can still do it. Like it's just I think the reaction time probably isn't as good as it was just because I don't do it all the time now. Like if I guarantee, I'm confident that if I did this every day,
you'd be good.
I'd be
Well, I would hope.
I'd be back.
I
But
mean,
you know,
I can. I'll speak for you too. Like, you're a damn good catcher, man. Like, I really enjoyed throwing to you. I know Tanuda did this past offseason as well. He was fun to watch in here because I
yeah,
don't think he missed a spot, and I'm
I
sure
was
that
gonna
makes
say
it a lot easier for you.
easy. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
talking to somebody the other day about, or I was actually talking to Chris about that yesterday. He
Hmm.
was stretching somebody out. I was working on somebody. We were talking about that. So I said my favorite person to catch was probably Tanuda because like I
That was my
literally
next
just,
question. Who was your favorite?
yeah, there you go. Just because like I hold my hand up
Yeah.
and I literally move it half an inch one way or the other, and they would just, I mean, hit the spot every time. Weiss was the same. He's pretty close. He's pretty
Yeah.
same thing. Like
Yeah.
they throw hard, but I mean
Not
they
moving a
can,
whole lot.
yeah, they can put it where you want it.
Yeah. Is that the biggest kind of difference you see, like when it comes to like high school, college, and professional? Is it like basically how much you're moving? Or, I mean, because
100%.
there's so many guys that come in here throwing hard, right? Like high school kids, you've seen up to 95 in here, college kids, same. And the ones that you catch, I feel like that's the difference is how much the catcher is moving back there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest difference I would say between that high school kid who throws hard and the pro guy who throws hard is the command, right? Like
Hmm.
they can control that way better,
Yeah.
which makes my job easier as a catcher or like whoever's catching them, right? Like
Right.
helps us make them look good. And if you got a guy who's all over the place, it sucks to
Yeah.
be back there a lot of times just because you have
Yeah.
no idea where it's going, and
You don't know what it's going to do.
yeah. So that's probably that. Honestly, that's probably the biggest difference.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I want to ask, big baseball fan, obviously, and you named your kid Swisher. What was the story
Did
behind that?
I we didn't name him after this person, but
After Nick Swisher?
yeah, like Nick Swisher, right? Like
Hmm.
everybody's heard of him. We didn't name him after him, but like I liked him as a player. Like I just loved his attitude and like how he played the game and approached the games, always
Hmm.
smiling, like big clubhouse guy, right?
Yeah.
Like did you ever play with him or like
No, I never
meet him
did
or anything?
against him. Recently met him though.
Did you?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I always thought like his last name Swisher, like that'd make a pretty cool first name for somebody,
Yeah.
right? And so I always had that in my mind. And then when me and my wife, when we found out like we were pregnant, we waited. We didn't find out the gender. We waited till he was born, but we had names like for
Okay.
both just in case, right? So she liked it, which shocked me. I didn't think she was gonna like it, but she liked it. And the thing that kind of sold it was my mom. She was a elementary school principal, and there was a kid in her school whose name was Swisher.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, apparently people name their kids
I've
Swisher.
never
So
heard that name.
yeah, and so that kind of sold it for us,
Yeah.
and that's what we went with. So we just call him Swish.
I love it. I mean, he's got to be the cool kid in school
Oh,
with
he's got
that
a
name.
mullet and everything, man.
Oh, dude,
Dude, we
he's
had he had picture day the other day at his preschool,
yeah.
and I was able to go. It was like 9 o'clock or something like that, and it was his turn to take pictures. And the photographer, she said, "Oh, is this Swisher?" I'm like, yeah. And she said, "I've asked all the girls who've come up here
Oh
who their
no.
boyfriend is.
Every one of them?
Every one of them has said Swisher."
Oh
I was like,
no.
man,
He's that kid. Does he have the chain on like you or no?
Nah, not yet.
Not yet.
We'll work on that.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
you know, when you
Well,
got it, you got it. So
yeah. I mean, if you have a name like Swisher, you better have it.
that's
You
right.
better bring it.
If he plays basketball, like
Yeah, that's
gonna
you
be
better not hit a
dicey.
backboard.
I know
You better
it's
not
gonna
hit a
be dicey,
backboard.
but I think he'll be fine.
I think so too. If all the girls love him, he's doing
Yeah.
something right. One more time for everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Nate Thompson. Thanks, Nate.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.